Is there a rape jihad in the UK? The answer to the question is no, but before going into the reasons why, here's Tommy Robinson speaking on the subject.
In the UK, 75% of Muslim women are on benefits and 50% of Muslim men. When you talk about taking our women, most recently in Cardiff, which is the capital of Wales, we had an imam who said the time is coming soon when we take the non-Muslim women as sexual slaves. We don't need an imam to say that, because Muslim men already in our country are taking our women as sexual slaves. We have street level gang grooming, they call it grooming in the UK, like it's cutting the hairs of dogs. Really, it's a rape jihad. It's a rape jihad going on in our country where 90% of the convicted perpetrators are Muslim men.
First of all, this isn't a ridiculous position for Tommy to take. He mentions the nutter in Cardiff, but there's a lot of other nutters out there who say exactly the same thing. Here's one from the Taliban Institute in London.
There is a chance to have slaves in the future. And that's the disbelievers. Okay? Their women, when they are caught, it's up to the Khalifa, the Caliph, to decide whether to enslave them and distribute them among the soldiers, Muslim mujahids, or to set them free, or to execute them. So if, for instance, now you have a woman who is a slave, and you can sleep with her besides the 4 wives. Halal.
Yeah, nice, mate. Here's another one from the Muslim Research and Development Foundation.
Whenever slavery was common, if a person in Islam, this is Islamic Sharia, if a person have a slave woman and he embraced her sexually and she conceived, then this woman now is named Ummul Walad, a mother of his child. He cannot sell her anymore. She is not a slave to be sold anymore. That was in the past, and guess what? That will be very common before the occurrence of the Day of Judgment, because this is a sign prophesied by Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Why would this be very common? Because basically there will be major conflict before the Day of Judgment, major war between the believers and non-believers, and obviously there will be prisoners of war, slaves, and this whole scenario will be repeated again.
And one more for luck, Abu Usama from Green Lane Mosque in Birmingham.
It is a fact that the Mulkul Yameen should not be an issue that we have a problem with. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had what his right hands possessed. So because we are apologetic about our religion and what Allah has revealed, Muslims want to deny the presence and the concept and the permissibility of the right hand possession. A man can have a concubine in Islam when Islam is being practiced correctly. And for every man that's in this masjid right now, he can have, that one man, this many concubines in addition to his 4 wives. That's the religion of Islam.
Good snooker player is Abu Osama. As you can see, it's not difficult to find Islamic scholars talking about taking non-Muslim women as slaves, both in the past and in the future. It's not like Tommy's digging out some fringe loony expressing these views. These are respected imams and scholars. But for a bit of balance, here's Yasser Kadi.
So if we eliminate the whole institution of abs and amas, the Islamic Sharia is still valid and intact. There is no legislation that requires an abd. There's no legislation that requires the existence of this institution, and therefore, in our times, when there is no such institution as slavery, Islamic law is full and valid, and it doesn't need their existence. And this is an amazing point, in my opinion, that clearly demonstrates that Allah Azza wa Jal intended for this institution to be something that is not necessary and required. If it's there, there are laws that governed it for 11, 12 centuries. Now that it's gone, we don't need those institutions don't need to be brought back. And that's why I don't know of any scholar in our times that is calling for this institution to come back.
Fair enough. Now, you might have noticed that the other scholars were talking about in the future, or when Islam is being practiced correctly. What they mean by this is when a legitimate Islamic state, not ISIS, a legitimate Islamic state has been established. If it then kicks off with the non-Muslims and everyone goes to war, they think it's acceptable to take the non-Muslim women as slaves. You can then have a bit of the other with them. None of them are suggesting that it's okay to do this now. I'm not saying any of this is okay, and I'm sure that these scholars would be pissed off if people were talking about taking Muslim women as slaves and having sex with them. But Tommy makes the direct link between the teachings of jihad and slavery in Islam with the grooming gangs of today. If you're going to make that claim, then you need to back it up with evidence. To further demonstrate where Tommy's arguments about rape jihad don't stand up to scrutiny, I'm going to use the Islamic movement as an example. I could have used any strand of Islam, the Salafis, the Deobandis, HT, certainly liberal and progressive Muslims. I could have used them all to make the same point, but the Islamic movement in particular meets a lot of Tommy's criteria for what he sees as Islam. The Islamic movement is made up of individual movements and political parties who have traditionally been referred to as Islamists. They like Tommy Cooper hats, and they believe that Islam is more than just a personal, private thing. Islam should be governing us all. One of the branches of the Islamic movement in the UK is called the UK Islamic Mission, and they're pretty open about their aims. The boss of UK Islamic Mission, Zahid Pervez, is quite clear about what they want to achieve. This is their own write-up about an event they held for the Sisters Wing, and the Maududi book they're raving about has these little gems inside. Before some of you start getting a hard on, not all Muslims believe that Islam is spread by the sword. But the UK Islamic Mission does tick a lot of Tommy's boxes. Islamisation, Islam needing political dominance, Mo spreading Islam by the sword. These are all things that Tommy says about Islam. Now, if anyone was going to be talking about launching a rape jihad, it would be these guys and girls. I've looked everywhere amongst their gumph. I've listened to their lectures and their speeches. There's nothing there about a rape jihad, but I did find this.